She was shy and had anxiety issues, and thinking about being in front of a group of strangers was freaking her out. "This yarn is for Sheila's rehearsal," I told the dogs, examining the ball of yarn in my hand for damage. I'd come up with a plan to have her do a practice class, hoping it would calm her down. Secretly, I hoped it would calm me down as well. Since I'd talked her into it, I felt personally responsible. And there was something else, too. Mrs. Shedd had no idea there was any problem. I picked up another ball of yarn out of the bin. "Can't use this one either." Somebody had pulled the ball apart, and the fine yarn was a tangled mess. I looked at my two cats, who were perched on the back of the reddish-brown leather couch. They blinked and closed their eyes, as if to proclaim their innocence. Cosmo danced around my feet, trying to show off that he'd rounded up the offender. My other dog, Blondie, had just come into the room. Her strawberry blonde, wiry hair might say terrier mix, but her personality didn't at all. She didn't mingle with the others much and spent most of her time in a chair in my room. She glanced at the rest of the animals, sensed something was going on, and retreated to her spot. After I'd placed all the usable yarn back in the bin, I closed the top, this time making sure it was completely secure. I picked up the bin and started across the living room, followed by a parade of pets who knew what was going on. "Here we go again," I thought. "I'm sorry, but I have to leave." I said it without looking back. I couldn't bear to see the looks on their faces. Sometimes I wondered how I'd ended up the mistress of this menagerie. It had just been me and Blondie at first. After Charlie died and I was feeling very alone, Blondie and I sort of found each other at a dog rescue. I was pretty sure she had been adopted and returned. When I first saw her, she looked totally woe-begone, and she seemed to feel as abandoned as I did. I quickly found out that she was the Greta Garbo of dogs. She preferred to be alone. She'd already returned to her spot in my room and wasn't part of the parade that was trailing behind me. The rest of my pets pretty much chronicled the changes in my life. Cosmo really belonged to Barry Greenberg, my ex. I refuse to say ex-boyfriend, because it just seems weird to call a homicide detective in his 50s a boyfriend. It figured that a cop's dog would be the one to catch up with the yarn offender. Barry's son Jeffrey still came by once a week or so and acted like Cosmo's owner. The dog seemed to play along, but as soon as Jeffrey left, Cosmo made it clear he was all mine. The two cats' names were Catwoman and Holstein, which at some point had morphed into Cat and Mr. Kitty. Don't ask. They'd come courtesy of my son Samuel, who had moved in and out a few times, eventually just leaving the cats here. And finally there was Felix, the gray terrier who, unlike Blondie, definitely knew he was a terrier. He'd arrived with Samuel the last time he moved back in with me, when he and his girlfriend Nell broke up. Thank heavens Samuel had stayed this time. Managing all these animals on top of everything else was a little much. Though at the moment my son was on the road. His day job was head barista at a coffee place, but at heart, he was a musician. My mother was part of the Sheila-is, a girl group from back in the day who had one hit, My Guy Bill. The group had turned the public's nostalgia for the song into a gig as part of an oldies show touring performing arts centers across the country. Samuel had been hired as their musical director and roadie. I got to my kitchen and set the bin down. The air smelled of the freshly baked biscuits that were cooling on the counter. Thankfully, Felix hadn't learned yet how to get up on the counter